Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth Finney, and welcome to Talk on Racism this morning. That's what we're going to be talking about. I know this term seems like it will just never go away. Well, that is because this issue of intentional hate and discrimination against people of other ethnicities is still seems to resurface decade after decade. Let me turn this down. Bom dia, Valeria. Good morning, Levi. How are you? Good to see you. Hey, just vlogging live. How are you? Good to see you too. Welcome in, sis. You got up early this morning. I appreciate you being here. So yes, we are talking about this issue that will never seem to just go away. However, often by the time we think that we've made headway or gotten past this issue of racism, some incident will happen or something will be, done or said in the media, and it is back all over the world, spreading itself like an ugly virus. What I have found often is that because people may not be talking about it in their immediate circle or amongst their friends or families, they tend to think maybe they haven't experienced it, maybe never even witnessed it. They tend to think that it's not an issue anymore. They tend to think that, oh, we've gotten past that. This is no longer an issue, when really racism is still very present and alive in today's society. And this is what I find to be a very dangerous mentality to have when you think that it doesn't exist, when you are in a relationship or trying to build relationships with people of different ethnicities. It can be very frustrating for somebody who has experienced and witnessed and lives in an area or works in an area, thank you, where racism is still very alive and present, and they have to, conversate or be in relationships with people who feel that it's not. So this can be a very dangerous mentality to have. So because we should all know at this point what racism is, I'm not going to be giving you Webster's definition of racism. Today, I want to approach this topic from a relationship perspective, okay? For the past decade and even more recently in the past several years, I don't think that anyone can argue that racism has become one of, amongst many, not trying to diminish, other issues that we have going on in our society right now that are also very big, but racism is also still one that has, stays at the forefront of our issues. So we've had a lot of stuff, a lot of events, a lot of, political issues and things that have brought racism back to the forefront of our minds and in our homes and in our communities and all of it. So it has become a real divider. It still is a real divider among people who may have been friends or coworkers or family members for years, because they are now looking at each other, not realizing that they have differences of opinion when it comes to the subject. Why? Because we never knew how that the other person felt. We never knew how our friends or our people in our family circle or friend circle or work circle or even church circle felt about this issue. And that's because we never talked about it, right? People just assumed that everyone feels the same way as you do. So when events and actions happen and words are spoken, and we hear things, we hear people say things, these people who are close to us say things that we just never would have imagined would have come out of their mouths, we can be very taken back by it and feel like, wow, I never knew you felt this way. I never knew that this was how you thought about different types of ethnicities or whatever the situation is. And sometimes we don't often quite know how to respond to it, right? Please forgive me. But rather than talking about it, rather than, having those difficult conversations with these people who are close to us, we tend to avoid it. We may even distance ourselves from it, or pretend that we're not different, that things are not, that there is not this division or this gaping new hole in our friendship or in our relationship that is causing some division, about this subject matter. Or we may even just completely stop being friends or stop, communicating with these people because we don't want people to, if you feel that passionate about the differences, you'll just, completely put the people out of your life. um, so obvious. So, and then other times we'll pretend, like I say, that it doesn't exist because we don't want people to find out, right? That we may feel differently than they do about different ethnicities. And all this puts a strain on the relationship because now we are afraid. We may find ourselves in a state of discomfort when these topics are now mentioned in casual conversation. We may be a bit fearful if we're worried that people are going to see us differently or find out that we feel differently because we don't want them to treat us differently or look at us differently, right? Because we want to stay friends with these people or we want to, stay close to these people. Good morning, True Fan. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Therefore, we may try to act like, they didn't say the things that they said, or we'll avoid, talking about the topic of conversation as much as possible because we want to stay close and we don't want them to find out that we feel different. So that's what I want us to talk about. And that's why I want us to talk about this issue this morning of racism so that we can learn how to talk about it, so that we can, bring the subject matter up and feel comfortable as, as in our relationships when we feel differently, and learn how to remain respectful with it so that we can be a little more comfortable in our thoughts and beliefs within our relationships when we do feel differently than the people that we are, in our circle. So we're going to look at this through the 4 talk principles, right? Tame the tongue, approach with compassion, listen deeply, and knock down barriers. So the first one is tame the tongue, right? When we are speaking with others, we make too many assumptions, right? We assume that the people that we are talking to feels the exact same way that we do. It is just, we think birds of a feather flock together. So if I feel this way, obviously they do. So I can just talk about it freely. I can just say what I want to say, what's in my heart or what's on my mind to say, and I don't have to worry about it. Well, that's just not true. And that's not the case. Just because we are friends with people, we church with people, we live in communities with people, we do not all feel the same when it comes to people of different ethnicities, different races, different cultures. So we have to get out of that habit of feeling like we can just say whatever we want to say just because we live in a free country. Freedom of speech also comes with a responsibility, okay, with a sense of responsibility that you will be responsible about the words that you allow to come out of your mouth. We are to be mindful with our words, and we are to be intentional with our words, no matter who we're talking to, right? So it is not for us to take advantage of that freedom of speech that we have to say whatever it is that we want to say, no matter how people feel about it. That freedom comes with, like I say, it comes with a sense of responsibility. It is a benefit that we're not to take advantage of, and especially not to use it to hurt others. So, and that is often what we tend to do. We take that freedom of speech and we use it to degrade people. We use it to hurt people. We use it to say ugly things to people, make people feel less than. And that is not what freedom of speech was given to us to do. We were really, I think I would imagine the intention was to elevate people, to encourage people to speak their minds and say what they need to say, but in a respectful way, not in a degrading way. So we often will say, tell jokes, right? This is how we do this. This is how we, use our freedom of speech in a degrading way. So we assume that our jokes and our insults about skin color and race are acceptable and unoffensive. And that's just not always the case. oftentimes, people will say something and they think that it's funny. They think everyone's going to laugh, and you may get a, kind of smile or something out of someone. But we don't know. We don't know who people are married to. We don't know who is in their friend circle, who's in their family circle. So saying things and, giving comments like, saying different comments like you look like you've spent a little too much time out in the sun, or we can only see your eyes and your teeth in this picture, or calling someone like an Uncle Tom or a mulatto or a redskin, a cracker, a Yankee, all these different negative terms, a wetback, or even an Oriental, right? These different common terms that we hear people say are often offensive. Race and ethnicity should not be referred to in a derogatory nature. We're called to be the light of the world, and that means that we have to elevate people and not degrade them. So don't assume that your negative comments or your jokes or your insults about people of different races and ethnicities are ever okay to say. Even if it's in your home. You might be surprised that someone in your home, your children, your children's friends, may feel very differently or about racism. So be conscious of that. Be conscious of assuming of telling jokes and insults that are related to race or ethnicity. Another thing that we get in trouble with is assuming that somebody is good at something just because they are from a particular culture, right? We'll say things like, well, aren't you people good at this, right? Isn't this what y'all do? Those types of comments are very degrading. They're very insulting, assuming that just because someone is from a different culture, that they all know how to do this very well, right? And we have these thoughts and ideas of every culture. It may be that they have some gifts and talents that we see trending from a particular culture, but that doesn't mean that every single person you meet from that culture is able to do those things. So don't assume that, and don't expect it, and don't, for God's sake, don't mention it, right? Let them, if you have someone, let them know, I'm looking for someone who is able to do this. Do you know anyone? But don't assume and make comments like, well, aren't y'all good at this? I thought all of y'all knew how to do this. I thought all y'all knew how to, sing or dance or build or whatever it is that you're assuming that people can do. So definitely those are things that can get you in trouble within a relationship. Another one is questioning someone's intentions because they are connected with someone from a different culture or a different ethnicity. Don't assume the intentions of others. When we see people of different races together, we automatically assume, oh, well, they're together because of this, or they're together because they want that, or they're together because they think less than of their own community. Don't assume that is the case, because it's not. People are together for multiple reasons. We have no idea why. So don't make the assumption that just because we see different ethnicities together, that they have alternative or alternate intentions. So, hey, back to bed. I'm sorry, my little ones are up. Go back to bed, sweetie, okay? It's not time to get up yet. Sorry about that. They're of the age now where they can get up. Go back to bed, guys. Go back to bed. Okay, it's not time to get up yet. Okay, sorry about that. So these are all things, like I say, that can be damaging to the relationship. Okay, come sit down. Come here, come sit down. Shh. Okay, be quiet though, okay? Okay, sit down. You want a blanket? Okay, sit down. Okay. Hold on in just a minute. All right, so these are all things that can be damaging to the relationship. Proverbs 15:2 tells us that the tongue of the wise uses knowledge, but the mouth of the fool pours out foolishness. So be intentional about your words, and don't just say anything that comes out of your mind because you think it's funny or you think it's not a big deal, because it very well and very much can be a big deal. So the next one principle we'll move on with is approach with compassion. The issue of racism is a very sensitive and controversial topic. And just because we may have never experienced anything like it or recognize that others have been hurt by the racist comments and degrading treatment directed at them from someone of a different race. Okay. So don't diminish their experiences or their feelings by acting like it's not a real thing or saying things like, well, you're being too sensitive with that, or you're overreacting, or that couldn't have happened, or, you're not telling the truth. These are all hurtful things to say to someone who's experienced some hate or that has been directed towards them. When we see somebody with a broken leg, or we'll say things like, we don't tell somebody with a broken leg, you just need to get over it, right? Sit down. When we see somebody with a broken leg, we don't say, you just need to get over it, or go run this marathon. No, we give them attention, and we take care of them and make sure that they're getting the right care and help and assistance that they need. The same thing when someone has been hurt by hurtful words, damaging words that have crushed their spirit and their mind and their soul. We need to be willing to, put some healing balm on their injuries. So don't say things like, you just need to get over that, or that's not real. People's intentions and things that happen things that happen are very real to them, and how they respond to it and how they feel about it. They need to be allowed to, express it. They need to be allowed to feel it, and we need to be there for them. So don't say that, don't tell people that it's not. Proverbs 15:4 says that a tongue that brings healing is the tree of life, but a deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. It crushes the spirit. So we need to use our mouths and our tongues to elevate people, to love on people, to encourage people, to comfort people, to help them get through these hurtful and damaging things that people will say. When they've been, beat down by a person's words or their actions, insulted and degraded by the different horrible things that people say. So how do we do that, right? If we know that someone has experienced this, and or we ourselves have experienced it, how do we comfort people who have been through difficult racist statements? Well, the first thing we want to do is let them know that we may not fully understand the situation, but we can understand what it feels like to be hurt by somebody else. We may not have experienced the same issue that they feel, and especially not for as long as they may have been experiencing it. But we can know what it feels like to be hurt by somebody and approach it from that, sort of perspective, rather than trying to put yourself in their shoes. The other thing is, don't tell them how to respond. Don't tell them how they should feel, what to feel, or how they should react, or what they should do or not do. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is not the right approach. Like I said, we can't put ourselves in the shoes of another person. So rather than telling people what to do, ask what we can do. What can I do to help this? Or what can I do to help you feel better? You might be surprised at what comes out of their mouth. They may just need a hug. They may just need someone to love on them and show care and concern for them. Hello, Shelia. Shelia, I believe that, in Korea. How are you? Good to see you. I hope I didn't mess up your name. I'm so sorry if I did. But good to see you. Welcome in. We're talking about racism this morning. Don't tell people what to say and how to feel, and how to respond in issues such as this. Just find out what you can do to help the situation, if at all possible. They may tell you there's nothing you can do, but just being there and listening and believing and giving them your full time and attention can make all the difference in just how they feel. Okay. And saying things like that makes others feel like they're an exception to your judgmental rule, right? This is something we also hear when we hear people say things like, "Oh, well, I don't see you that way. You may be of this race, or you may be of this culture or this ethnicity, but because I don't see you that way, or you're different, or you're the exception to the rule, right? You don't act like the others, or behave like the others, and this, that, and this, and that." Stop. That is also a very, racist comment to make, because it's as if you're still giving yourself permission to feel hate or towards everyone else of that culture, but maybe just not your friend or your coworker or your church member. But it doesn't, if it's not changing the way you see the entire race, just the one person that you are in relationship with, those are things that are still disrespectful and still hurtful, because you're like I say, you're just saying that it's okay for me to still hate these people, but I love you, you're okay, we're good with you. That's not that's still a very racist statement to make when you're in relationship with people from different ethnicities. The other thing you can do, the L for the L in talk, is listen deeply. Not everything needs and requires a response, right? I know that sometimes we feel like we have to say something, like there must be something that we can say to make this person feel better. And sometimes people really just need you to listen, right? They just need someone's attention. They just need us to listen. Because there are no words to try to explain, people's actions or behaviors or their words. And there's no way that we can erase what happened, right? The harm that was caused by the intentional hate that someone has done. Sometimes the best we can do is give people the space to feel what they need to feel from the hurt. Give them the space so that they can, grieve or give them the space so that they can grieve and feel what they're feeling. And allow them to say what they need to say. If they're mad, if they're angry, if they're hurt, if they are, even want to just, say whatever they need to say, allow them in the space to say it. So listening can be very, very important. Let them know that we hear them, that we feel their pain. I may not be able to understand, I may not be able to relate, but I hear you, and I want you to know that I'm here. And if you need to talk or whatever, just listen. That's all you have to do sometimes, is listen and be there for the person. So don't always assume that something needs to be said. Like I said, just be that listening ear, allow them to express. Don't violate. This is a huge one. Do not, if someone is coming to you and trusting you with the vulnerabilities of their heart, what they're telling you, maybe you caught them in a hurtful space and this incident just happened, and they pour in, maybe y'all have a relationship, maybe you don't, and they're pouring out their hearts to you. Don't violate that trust by going around and letting other people know what's happening and what they're feeling and what was said. So try to be when keep whatever they say to yourself, keep it close to the gird. When someone entrusts us with the tenderest thoughts of what's in their hearts, we need to honor it. We need to honor it by keeping it private and keeping it within themselves. So the last one that I want to mention is knock down barriers. Shh. I'm sorry, guys. My little ones are up and they're literally running circles in my living room. So I'm really working to stay focused here. So the last one is knock down barriers. The quickest way to tear down the walls of racism. Hey, sit down. Stop. Okay, the quickest way to tear down the walls of racism that creates is to build intentional relationships. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. So the quickest way, like I said, the quickest way to tear down walls of racism is to build intentional relationships. We all, if we're honest, we all have prejudice tendencies, whether we want to admit them or not, right? So we all have thoughts and ideas about people from different cultures that may be accurate and may not be accurate. They develop from things that we see on TV, different experiences that we have, all sorts of things. So, but often we have these prejudices because of our lack of knowledge, right? Maybe we have a certain little sense of fear in wondering what their intentions are, whether or not their intentions are to hurt us or, cause us harm. Sometimes we feel like, oh, people from this culture are here to, take advantage of us. It is common for them to do that. So, or we may just be worried that they're trying to take something from us, right? These are all common fears and prejudices that we have sometimes towards people of different ethnicities. But however, rather than taking the time to get to know people, being kind to people, showing love and kindness, making those prejudgments, we assume that everyone from that culture is the same. And so if we've had one bad experience, we assume that every time we meet someone from that culture that we're going to have that same experience. That we're going to have that same experience when that's not the case. We cannot make the assumption that everyone is the same. And just because our friend or someone we know had a bad experience, that we will too. So, get to know people from different ethnicities, expand your circle of influence, and diversify your inner circle portfolio. You should have people in your life from different cultures, from different ethnicities, because they bring so much to the table. We all have something to bring to the table. We should learn to, respect and value our differences rather than be threatened by them or be fearful of them. So, get to know people, be intentional about getting to know someone that you work with or someone that you church with or someone that you are, friends with from different ethnicities, because we all bring something amazing and interesting, and we all have different gifts that we can bring, that people bring to your life. If everyone in our life only looks like us, we're missing out tremendously on the gifts and talents that God has given each of us within our different cultures, because we all have amazing and wonderful things to bring to life. Shh, sit down, sit down, sit down. They know that my attention is away from them, so they are running circles everywhere. So we have some understanding, right, of why God gave us all different languages, right, because of the Tower of Babel and all that whole Bible story. But we don't know why God made us all look very different. What we do know is that we're all made in his image. So there is something about each and every one of us that looks like God. Okay. So we have to realize that when we are looking at our different cultures and our different ethnicities, that we are also seeing God. The word tells us that you cannot say that you love God. Hey, sit down. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Sit down. Sit down. Shh, shh, shh. Sit down. No more running. No more running. Okay. So that we all look like him. We don't know why. We all look different. We won't know that. We don't know why we have, different hair textures and different skin tones, different eye colors and different heights and different facial features. We don't know that, but we do know that we were made in his image. So when we look at another person, we need to recognize that we are looking at God, and we need to love on them with the same love and intention that we say that we have for God. So, be bold as you are in saying that you love the Lord. Be that bold in loving on people from other ethnicities and other cultures. Okay. 1 John 4 20, 1 John 4 and 20 is where it talks about that if we say that we love God and we don't love our neighbor, our brothers and sisters, then we are a liar. And so we don't want to be liars. We have to love the God that is within each and every one of us, okay? Because that's the God that we see. That is the God that we see. Is the God that lives in each and every one of us. So I hope that you all have, got some takeaway out of this. Gentle are the little children. Yes. Hey, Peekaboo Scholars, how are you? Thank you for popping in. Yes. So I apologize for, my daughter said peekaboo. I apologize for the disruptions this morning. Like I said, my 3-year-olds are, getting active now, and they've learned how to get in and out of the bed. So they're excited about being up when they know they need to be in the bed. All right. But anyway, I'm going to say a quick prayer. I hope that despite the distractions that you all were able to get something out of this lesson this morning, some takeaways. Share this message with those that you're close to, someone even that you may be afraid to talk to racism about. Let this be the start of a conversation that you never imagined that you would have. All right. I'll say a quick prayer and then we will head out. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for the love and grace and mercy that you show each and every one of us. Thank you for being the light inside of us. Thank you for being inside of us. Help us how to love on one another and to show love, care and concern for one another, to not be degrading with our words, but to elevate people, to love on people, to encourage people, and allow them to be who they are. Father, we ask that you heal this intentional hurt and hate that lies within the hearts of people. Help us to move past these degrading things that we say to one another and overcome the differences of opinions that we have from people of different ethnicities. We love you. We thank you. These things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Okay, well, thank you all so much. I appreciate you all for being here and hanging with me through this, despite my little distractions here. So you all have a wonderful day and take care. Be the light in this world. Okay?